Hi, everyone. Uh, Rolling Stone has posted their 100 best albums of 2023. I just started to go through the list, and it's like I didn't know any of the artist. And so I thought I would do a video on it to see if I do know, if I've even heard of the artist's name. So I'm going to count, I'm going to add up how many of these artists I've heard of. Not just, not necessarily hearing their music, but hearing their name. And I'm not knocking anybody on the list because I haven't heard probably a lot of these artists before, but I probably wouldn't like uh, many of these albums anyway. I'm not a fan of Rolling Stone magazine. I used to buy it in the 70s and 80s, but I haven't bought it for years. So here we go. I wonder if Sparks, The Girl Is Crying in her Latte, will make the list. I doubt it. But it was voted number one record of the year in Record Collector magazine. Here we go. Soft Machine. I've heard of the band Soft Machine, but my Soft Machine is the title. Arlo Parks. Never heard of. Is it her? Okay. Yeah. Never heard of it. Depeche Mode. Okay. I'm going to add these up. Every time I've heard their music too. It's good. It's not really I've never been a big fan, but they're definitely good. Let me know if you like their new album. Calcia Ballerini. No. Rolling Up the Welcome Mat for good. Godflesh, never heard of. Crosslade, never heard of. I'm going to mispronounce some names. Ray Sremmerd, Srem for Life, never heard of. Georgia Smith, never heard of. Metallica, I've heard of them. I respect them. I don't dislike their music, but I'm not, not necessarily a fan. Nikki Nicole, never heard of. Larry June and the Alchemist, never heard of. Danny Lux, never heard of. Have you? Bully, never heard of her. Jamela Woods. People are going to laugh at the way I'm mispronouncing words. Something tumor. Praise a Lord who choose but which. Praise a Lord who chews but which does not consume. Lucinda Williams I've heard of. Glenn Kellaway from The Basement is a big fan of her. I don't think I've ever heard her music. Maybe he'll for one of the album exchanges. I can't even pronounce that one. Never heard of them. The National I've heard of. I don't think I've heard their music. Kalila, never heard of. Jungle, never heard of. Jonah Sternberg, never heard of. Diego Raposo, never heard of. Low Cut Connie. Such a weird band names. And Glenn thinks Ween is a silly name. Gail, never heard of. Babe Rexa, never heard of. Sampha, never heard of. Pale Hound, I've never heard of. 100 Gex, never heard of. Wilco, I've heard of. I don't think I've heard very much of their music. Holly Humberstone, Paint My Bedroom Black, never heard of. Burna Boy. never heard of. Blur, I've heard of them. Let me know, you Blur fans out there, if you like this new album of theirs. They were not together. They weren't together for many, many years. Good to see them back. Suga, never heard of. Skrillex, I've kind of heard of the name, so I'll say I've heard of the name. Barbie the album, I'm not going to count that. That's a soundtrack to the movie. Grupo Frontera, never heard of. I think I've heard of this band. I actually own this album, thanks to it being gifted to me. And I think it's a great album. Pink Pantheris, never heard of. Mr. Easy. Strange album covers. I don't see any sparks yet. Gracie Abrams, Good Riddance. Never heard of. Joy, Alodokin, never heard of. Hosier, I've heard of him. He had one song on the radio when I was working. You know, they play the radio constantly. I couldn't control the radio at work. And I liked the song, but it got played so much that I ended up hating it. Earl Sweatshirt. Never heard of. Bonnie Doon, never heard of. Genesis, I've heard of. Oh, that's the title of the album. Peso Pluma, never heard of. We're not doing so good. I've heard of the artist Melanie. I've got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new key. But not this one. Melanie Martinez. Rennie Rapp. Never heard of her. McClinney Dixon. Never heard of. These could be on my worst album covers of all time list. Some of them. Jordan Ward. No. Ice Spice. Military Gun. Oh boy. I don't want to load more. Dominic Fike or Fick. Sunburn. Yola Tango. I've heard of the artist, never heard their music. 17 albums. Gunna. Never heard of. L. Rain. I Killed Your Dog. Well, isn't that a nice album title? Oh. Everything But the Girl. I've heard of them. What a terrible album cover. Woo. Kylie Minogue, I've heard of her. Not really her music. You know, I believe she's just like a pop artist. But if you like this kind of thing, good for you. Just not my thing. Jenny Lewis, I've heard. I'm surprised I know as many artists on this list as I do. Megan Moroney. Samari One or I. U.S. Girls. Kara Jackson. Why does the earth give us people to love? I don't know. Oh, these. That's kind of a bad album cover, but I also kind of like it. K-Tranada and Emin. No. A sake, or I don't know. And somebody actually commented because in my rant video, being half serious that, you know, I do mispronounce words. Maybe I believe I have a learning disorder, and somebody mentioned dyslexia. And I've thought of that seriously, that, you know, maybe I'm just making that up as an excuse, but I do struggle with saying some words. Water from your eyes. Drake, for I've heard of Drake. I've heard some of his music, and I think I listened to a bit of this album, and I was not impressed. And I think I had that on one of my worst album covers videos. Troy, never heard of. New Jeans. Oh, bad album covers. Bad Bunny, never heard of. Model. Actress, never heard of. Miley Cyrus, I've heard of. She's got talent. Not my kind of music from what I've heard, but Kylie, Eustace, never heard of. Caroline Polachek, Desire, I Want to Turn Into You. Wednesday. I've heard of Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but I've never heard of Wednesday before. Rat Saw God. Amari. Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit. That's a nice album cover. Keisha. I've heard of Keisha. Disturbing. There's nudity on my channel. Christine and the Queens. And there's more nudity. There's Young Nudie. Lana Del Rey I've heard of, but not her music. Here's the top 20. I can hardly wait. I don't see any sparks. I don't think there's going to be any sparks. They definitely wouldn't be in the top 20. Janelle Monáe. Danny Brown. JPEG Mafia. Jessie Ware. Anoni and the Johnsons. My Back Was a Bridge for You to Cross. Becky G. I don't know how, I've actually on my Patreon, which you should join, and request a song or a full album. I think I listened to one of his songs, and I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that at the moment. But I think I liked it. But I've done like 400 song reactions. But I'm pretty sure I did like whatever I listened to. Carol G. No Name. I just don't understand some of these album covers. Gets me mad. Chappelle Roan. Blonde Shell. Zach Bryan. Once again, you know, these album covers. Certainly isn't I haven't seen a Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band in this. Victoria Monet. Billy Woods and Kenny Segal. I could make a worst album covers video with this list. Oh. Mitski. The land is inhospitable, and so are we. Paramore. I've heard of them, but just very recently, so I'm going to say I've never heard of them before. Olivia Rodrigo. Guts. Top 4. Lil Yachty. Yachty. Let's start here. Tiny Data. Here we go. The top 2. I'm so excited. It'd be funny if Sparks was number 1. Boy Genius, The Record. Never heard of him. Is it SZA? SZA? ZA? I don't know. SOS? She rocks. She raps. She takes rumors and rumblings about herself head on. So the album came out in December 2022, after we'd published our 2022 list, but it made its mark in 2023. I don't think that should be number 1 if it came out in late 2022. That's stupid. Gets me mad. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I've heard of 17 of the 100 artists. I've got a lot of listening to do. And I've probably heard maybe 5 of the 17 artists. But I'm old. And the thing is that younger people have to understand that, might put me down or other older people down for not being hip with the new music, is say you're 20 years old. When you're my age, when you're 65, in 35 years, you are going to like the music you liked when you were 20. You might like a little bit of it later on, but your main love of music is going to be from your early years up to your 20s, maybe early 30s. And so when you're 65 and something comes out 35 years from now, you're not going to care about it. Because there's going to be so much music that you've already, loved. That, like I'm still finding music that I kind of ignored for years and years of older bands like The Damned and Ween and so many others. And so, that's who I am. So yeah, let me know what are some of the artists on here that you really like. And that's about it. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye.